Hi guys, in this video we will talk about communication in organizations. So, an important role of the information system infrastructure in organizations is their ability to facilitate communication. So, what is this communication? Communications can occur through any form, through data, through voice, or through video. So data communication are associated with a variety of forms such as data as short text messages, as email messages, as entire documents or as structured files. So communication networks form the core of the information technology architecture of any modern organizations. As organizations grow across regions and countries and partner with other organizations, so the need of communication also grows. So there are many types of communication, like synchronous communication, asynchronous communication. So we will talk about all these. So in synchronous communication, this happens when two or more parties communicate simultaneously. For example, a phone conversation between two people or chat session on the internet between two people is an example of synchronous communication. So here both parties can send and receive messages at the same time. In asynchronous communication, this happens when two or more parties communicate but not simultaneously. They may send messages to each other to which they may respond at a later point of time. For example, email works in the form of asynchronous. So in this mode, where a person sends a message to another person who responds to the message later. There are other type of communication also like simplex. So in this simplex communication, when the communication is possible only in one direction. So radio receivers are examples of simplex devices that can only transmit signals, but they cannot transmit any signals both in both way at a particular time. In half duplex communication, this happens when two persons communicate with each other but not at the same time. For example, radio transmitter receivers can only send or receive signals at any one time. Also in duplex communication, this happens when two persons can communicate with each other while sending and receiving at the same time. Simple as the phone conversation or the chat conversation. Now we will look at some examples of communication in organizations. So suppose in a sales company or any company sales professional who have to travel a lot to meet their customers, so he can carry various communication devices. Mobile phones allow them to send short messages to potential visit sites and also allow them to call the clients. So these smart mobile phones also allow them to connect to corporate systems such as customer relationship management system, so that they will be able to see the status of client, such as whether the client has responded to a query or he has any earlier transactions. So all this information. So the salesperson may also have a laptop computer on which she carries data and programs. So this data and program will allow him to connect to the organization central servers so that he can read and write data about the client. So the connection could be made using wireless network cards or any local type of internet connections. Many hospitals also now provide handheld computers to doctors who on their visit to patients, suppose the doctor has to visit in various patient wards in the hospital, so he can enter data about his visit, or he can enter by typing or by recording by voice also. So once in the office, now he is able to conveniently transmit this entered data to a desktop computer or to a central server through wireless networks. So the handheld services are also used to request specific service such as equipment or medication or for nursing facilities. We can also take the example of Ola taxi services. So in Bangalore, it started using global positioning system. So global positioning system GPS is a service that pinpoints the exact location of its taxis. So these taxis are also equipped with GPS devices. So to identify where any taxi is in the fleet, it can use customer calls for a service. When a customer calls in for a service, the system identifies the customer's location and finds the nearest available taxi that can be sent to him. So the GPS is located in taxi and beam across information about the location to the central server of the taxi server. The taxi service can also use the data from GPS information to access the demand for taxis across the city. GPS is also used by bus service in many cities in the world, also in some cities in India. The GPS devices in the buses send information about the location and speed of each bus to the central server, which then uses this information to communicate to commuters at various bus stops along the route of that how much time it will elapse before the next bus arrives. So the commuters waiting at bus stops can then use this information to either wait for the bus or use alternate means of transportation such as they can book private taxis or something else. So smart mobile phones enable users to receive emails and other messages on their mobile phones also. As the owner of the service receives an email message, so now the owner in his office he can receive in his office by email or through any email software he can also receive on his phone. So the person using the service he can he can react instantly and also reply through the phone also. So users of smartphones can constantly in touch with their colleagues and collaborate using such instant messaging service. Now we will have a look that how communication technology can help in decision making. So as we know, communication is at the heart of functioning of most modern organizations. Messages can be sent or received from devices from people or to other people. It can also be sent in various formats through various channels and we have described some of these. So decision making is supported by communication networks which aid in data, information collection and dissemination of decision. We will take some examples of this. Suppose a large automobile fuel retailer in USA has a network of thousands of stations across the country. Since fuel prices fluctuate quite often and there is strong competition from rival retailers, it is quite important for that retailer that the changes in prices should be communicated quickly for all the retailers. So the pricing of fuel is done at headquarters of the firm, which collects data on pricing from across the country and determines prices for each region. The prices of fuel at every station are sent out at messages at the end of each 24-hour cycle. And this is done through computer networks. So the headquarters message out the new price information at night so that retailers can change the price information on the fuel pumps as well as on the large hoarding screen which you can see very easily in USA. So decision making here is tactical in nature and prices are changed by the headquarters but reflect the competitive needs of the local fuel station. So the information used to make the decision sent across on a daily basis and reflect the current situation accurately. We can also take the example of bank, a particular bank which is based in Mumbai. So it uses frequency identification, radio frequency identification, RFID tags to identify customers who enter its offices. So these RFID tags are placed on cards and these cards are given to customers who carry them in their wallets, or in their pockets. So as a particular customer enters the bank, the RFID tag is identified and information regarding the customer is made available to the bank employees. So someone then approaches the customer immediately and addressing them by their name and take them aside to help them. So this service is only provided to special high valued customers. The message regarding the customer is of a strategic value to the bank and helps to improve its services and also to retain its high valued customers. Thus we can say that the communication requirement of employees within organizations have grown immensely. And with the advent of electronic wired and wireless networks, it is growing very faster. Along with this have emerged a number of technologies that meet these communication needs. A typical employee of modern corporate culture will often have more than one communication devices on him at any particular point of time. So this will include the mobile phone, a laptop computer with wireless or many times wired connectivity also. So such high levels of connectivity also lead to an overload of communication information. So organizations are currently involving means by which such overload can be minimized, can be maintained, and only relevant and useful communications are presented to the user. Friends, we will talk about a different case study in next video. For this